So how can we turn this around? If you don't turn the tap off, you're still going to be mopping up in the other corner. If you don't find the cause, you will never have a cure. So number one, eliminate. Eliminate the pill. Well, how can we stop having babies popping up everywhere? Sex is two-part, contraception should be two-part. I believe the woman's role is to know when she is ovulating. My daughter showed me her phone. She's got an app on her phone now that tells her if she's safe or not safe. So what she does is she takes her temperature every day and puts it into the app on her phone. And this is what she'll find. Her temperature will do this, then it'll drop and go up onto a higher plane. And that is her sign that she has begun to ovulate. That's sign number one. So she just gets into the habit of taking her temperature before she gets out of bed every day. And some couples will do that if they're wanting to fall pregnant, so they know exactly we're about to be together quite often. So the second sign is that her vaginal lubricant changes. So when a woman is in the estrogen time, it's not as profuse, it's more white. When she is in estrogen, or she's stopped estrogen time, now she's in progesterone time, and progesterone is highest, then the lubricant is a lot more profuse, it's clear and stringy. The third sign is the cervix changes. So what she does is she just checks the vaginal lubricant every day, and then she checks what the cervix is doing every day. Now at first she's got nothing to compare it to, but as the weeks and the months go by, she starts to see a pattern. So she can, I mean, everyone does it on their phone now, don't they? I used to have charts I gave up, but we just do it on the phone now. And she will find that those three signs will come together, and most women will ovulate this week here. But what these signs do, they allow her to define the starting and the finishing. So what she says to her husband here, I am safe. Here, I am unsafe. Here, she's safe. Now, when she's unsafe, then it's the man's role to either use a condom or master the art of withdrawal. I was reading an article on Italian men, how they prided themselves in not getting their women pregnant by mastering the art of withdrawal. I love that because they took responsibility, whereas I know in Australia, you know, for the last 40 years, it's been all on the woman. The woman has the pill or the IUD, or she has her tubes tied. But it starts to come a little bit of a man, and he will have a vasectomy, which I do not agree with, because once you start cutting tubes, I wonder if a study has been done to show if the men that had vasectomies 20 years later are getting the prostate problems. You see, you can't start cutting tubes. My daughter and her husband Matthew, they were married for nearly 4 years before baby Amethyst appeared. How nice to have a few years together to establish a relationship before the little darlings appear that can make or break a marriage. So eliminate the pill, eliminate the HRT. It is too dangerous to take, but what you will see here is an alternative. Eliminate meat and its products. If you love meat and its products, well, it must be organic. One lady said, well, it's not going to be much if it's going to be organic. I said, well, you will prosper from that. We're going to show you how to make lentils taste fantastic. Plastics, I think it's impossible to totally eliminate it, but as much as possible, eliminate your body's exposure to it, and as much as possible, store your food in glass or ceramic or stainless steel. And chemicals, get the chemicals out of your homes. If someone has a baby, a great present is to buy, you call them diapers, yeah, we call them nappies. You can buy disposable nappies made out of starch. And Trader Joe's, places like that have it. Buy them a big packet of this. Buy them a stainless steel little bottle with a rubber teat. And you call it pacifier, we call them dummy. Cost you $15 to get a rubber one, but buy them a little package like that and a wooden rattle. How many rattles are plastic? So the children are just sucking on plastic all the time. And when they open the packet, they'll go, oh, This is an unusual present. And you know what you say? Yes, we're very concerned for your baby's sexuality. Because that's what's happening, you know. We think we've got problems now. You wait another 10 years. It's scary. So this is turning the tap off. Number 2, your liver has the ability to eliminate excess estrogen. And it can do it down one of 2 pathways. One pathway is the hydroxy 2 pathway. The other pathway is the hydroxy 16 pathway. If it comes down the hydroxy 2 pathway, it's out. If it comes down the hydroxy 16 pathway, it comes back in 100 times worse. So we don't want 16, we want 2. We're going to call it highway 2 and highway 16. So I'm going to show you a list of things you can do to stimulate 2 and inhibit 16. One is the cabbage family. The cabbage family contain indoles. You can pay $100 and get a supplement with indoles, or you can just eat cabbage every day. Cabbage or Brussels sprouts or broccoli or cauliflower, bok choy, kale. They all contain indoles, and you're probably not surprised to know that the organic has a far higher indole content compared to non-organic. What indoles do is they stimulate highway 2 and inhibit highway 16. Also, the vitamin B family, specifically B6, B9 and B12. B6, 9 and 12 all stimulate highway 2 and inhibit highway 16. Licorice, I'm not talking about the candy licorice, I'm talking about the herb licorice. If you have high blood pressure, don't use that one. Flaxseed. Flaxseed every day from when you start eating in a couple of days, we will feed you again. You'll be getting ground flaxseed. It contains lignans, and these lignans stimulate highway 2 and inhibit highway 16. It rings true of Hippocrates saying, let food be your medicine and medicine be your food. Number 3, Australia sells a cream called the Anna's Wild Yam Cream. The Anna's Wild Yam Cream contains a plant chemical called diosgenin. And when the diosgenin in that cream is applied to your skin, the fat cells take it up and it stimulates this pathway that your body uses to make progesterone. So the beauty of this cream is it stimulates your body to make its own progesterone. You can buy in the US progesterone cream, and I think if someone's having hot flushes every 15 minutes, they've just found out they've got breast cancer, they're not sleeping because insomnia is another sign of an imbalance, I think the progesterone cream can play a part initially, maybe for the first jar, maybe 4 months. But then it is important to go over to the Anna's so that you're applying a cream that will stimulate your body to do it. Whenever I come to the US, I meet women who've been on the progesterone cream for a couple of years, it's just not doing it anymore. But I find that most women respond well to the Anna's Wild Yam Cream. It's working with your body. How do you apply it? One finger dip, so you put your finger in just past the nail bed. First time you might be the inside of the arms. It's twice a day. So morning might be inside of arms, evening might be chest. Next day it might be abdomen. Next evening it might be the inside of thighs. So you alternate the sites of application. And a woman applies this cream for 3 weeks a month. So it's these 3 weeks here. So the woman stops when she is menstruating. If she's not menstruating anymore, she chooses 1 week of the month where she does not apply the cream. A lot of ladies find that choosing the first or the last week of the month makes it just easier to remember. How long should a woman be on it? At least 1 year. One lady said to me, I tried this cream and it didn't work. I said, how long did you try it for? She said, 2 months. I said, well, this is what's happening after 2 months. Here's the imbalance. After 2 months, we're about here. Where do we want to be? We want to be here. The good news is if it took 20 years to get out of balance, it won't take 20 years to get back into balance, but it might take 1 or 2 years. If a woman is applying the cream and she stops after a year and say her hot flushes return, what's her body saying to her? A bit more, please. A bit more. And one lady said she tried it another 6 months, then stopped, and she had no more hot flushes. One lady told me that within 6 months, no, it wasn't 6 months. She said within 1 month of applying the cream, her blood loss had halved. How many ladies have had their uteruses taken out when all they really needed was to balance those hormones? I've also found that women respond well with thyroid problems. You see, high estrogen opposes thyroid problems. High estrogen opposes thyroid function. So a lot of ladies who are on the pill when they're in their teens, 20s, it's 30 years later, but the hormones are still out of balance. I've also met people who've gone onto the cream for their osteoporosis. Progesterone boosts bone-building cells. They're your osteoblast cells. Strengthens the bones. There is no toxic dose of progesterone. Can you have too much happy hormone? I don't think so. But there's definitely a toxic dose of estrogen. I met a 9-year-old girl who was on it. She developed breasts at 8 and started menstruating at 9. So whether if you're between 9 or 90, this cream can be applicable for you. I've also met some ladies, particularly ladies, who've conquered their depression by going on the Anna's Yam cream and boosting their happy hormone. It is also important, this is point number 4, that the 8 laws of health are implemented, and we will be pursuing those from tomorrow. So that means all the stimulants must go.
What are they? What are the stimulants?
We'll define them tomorrow. We'll do your caffeine and your alcohols, your refined sugars. So I've written those 8 laws up there, and adhering to them brings balance naturally into the human body. And the yam cream just helps with that balancing of the hormones. If a woman is going through menopause, she's having hot flushes, she's got weight gain, she just cannot lose weight, the yam cream helps that because it gets the estrogen down, gets the progesterone up. And because it gets the progesterone up, it helps with her sexual desire. And it also helps with her mood. But there is 2 things that it will not affect immediately. And I find many women, 50s, 60s, this is happening to them, sex has become very painful. The cells that line the vagina are so sensitive and they've lost lubricant. And it's very hard for the man to see that his wife's hurting. And something's come along that is helping these women. So we'll put this as number 5, and this is yoni stones. The Chinese dynasty developed yoni stones to help the young concubines be sexually toned for the emperor. But they're very popular today, and ideally they're made out of nephrite jade. Nephrite jade is like a green marble. The nephrite jade is heavy, and as you'll see why that's important in a minute, but it's also a smooth marble, so there are no crevices. So when these are ordered, they're ordered in a set of 3. So this is the largest stone, it's about this big, and then they're like an egg. And then the next stone, and then the next stone, that's the smallest stone. There are 2 holes in the bottom so that a woman can insert dental floss for easy extraction. And what a woman will do is she'll insert the stone, the largest end first, so that we'll touch her cervix. She begins with the largest stone, and she will not even know it is there, but she will wear it for 1 hour a day for the first week, 2 hours a day for the second week, 3 hours a day for the third week, 4 hours a day for the fourth week, and on the 5th week she's up to wearing it 5 hours a day. And she wears it for 5 hours a day for about 6 months. By now her pelvic girdle is so strong. that she can go over to the middle-sized stone and she can go straight into wearing that for 5 hours a day. After 6 months, she can go to the smallest stone. This is strengthening her girdle, her pelvic girdle internally. So I'm going to draw the pelvic girdle so you know what I mean. Here's the pelvic girdle. There is the belly button, and up the other end is the bottom of your spine, the coccyx. So here's your anal sphincter, that's your vagina, and the urethra. So it looks like this. It's a muscular system, muscles threaded all through, but around the orifices, it's all muscle. So it's a muscular girdle, this pelvic girdle. And wearing that stone strengthens the girdle because it's got to hold the stone. And because it's got to hold the stone, more blood comes to the area. And where more blood comes to the area, it feeds the cells lining the vagina. It feeds the cells that make up the glands. So the glands begin producing lubricant. And I have had ladies tell me that after 3 months of wearing the stone, sex is no longer painful. The lubricant has returned. The cells are not delicate anymore. In fact, I had one couple in their late 50s. They looked a bit embarrassed. They say, look, we don't know how to say this, but thanks. He said, this yam cream just puts lead in my pencil. And the lady said, it is no longer uncomfortable. We just want to tell you we're thankful. What also is happening with the yoni stones and the effect it's having, remember it's strengthening that girdle internally. It's also helping with incontinence. Because here's the urethra, it's a muscle system. So wearing the stone, the stone is in the middle, of course, so it's strengthening all the muscles surrounding it. My daughter had a home birth. Her daughter's 10 now, and she had a midwife. And they got a blow-up bath and had a water birth inside her home. But her midwife, who was in her 50s, told her this story. She said, I went to the doctor, I was feeling so uncomfortable. See, what happens is with the prolapse, the uterus can drop right down to the neck of the birth canal. And the doctor said, I can stitch that up with mesh. And that's happening a lot today. But you might also have heard there's a lot of problems with the mesh. In fact, there's court cases pending because of what the mesh has done. In Australia, about a year ago, they won the court case and a lot of women had payouts because of the problems they'd had with the mesh. Is the mesh the problem? Do you know it's not? The doctors only use the mesh because the women's muscles are so weak. They've got nothing to sew it to. So do you know what the problem is? It's education. Women aren't keeping fit, so their muscles are weak. They're not eating nourishing food, so the cells aren't nourished. They're not hydrated. That's why I believe what Ellen White says in her book Ministry of Healing on page 127. She says the only hope of better things is the education of people in the right principles. We should be exercising every day. So externally, you can do rebounding, you can do push-ups. Have you seen the girls do push-ups? the twins? And you can do those exercises that strengthen the core. They will show you exercises that target the core. So that's external. And every day we should be doing this, okay? Squatting, up, down, up, down. It strengthens all that. And the internal stone. So my daughter's midwife, she didn't like the sound of the mesh, so she went and Googled prolapse, and she discovered yoni stones. She ordered them. She began to wear them. She went back to the doctor 3 months later. He said, I don't understand this, but you no longer have a prolapse. See, it's just muscle. And gravity's ever pulling us downward, isn't that right? And it's the defying of gravity that strengthens the muscles in the human body. So the yoni stones changing the lives of many people. And I had 2 women do our program about a month apart. Both had a prolapse in their 50s. Both had the operation with the mesh. The mesh did not work, so they had to endure the discomfort of the continued prolapse with mesh as well until they could book in, because they had to go on a waiting list, to have a total hysterectomy. And they heard this and they said, oh, if only we'd known. If only we'd known that we could have strengthened our pelvic girdle. Because pelvic girdle is not often talked about, is it?
No.
And yet the pelvic girdle is something very important, that women maintain their pelvic girdle strength so that they can enjoy being intimate with their husbands and enjoy their latter years. Because remember, muscle knows no age. Thank you.